My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. It's Wednesday, November 12, 2025. Gang stalking with the kidnappers, the domestic terrorist Starbucks, license 9, Apple Mary Kelly, 019. They're gang stalking with Patty Ocean via the drive-thru. Stalking in the path, monitoring with the Ontario International Airport, just like the Starbucks at 111 North Vineyard Avenue, as a matter of fact. Doing so even at the same time that the fake sun is over me at both venues. The entity kept the fake sun over me at that Starbucks yesterday, and Ocean is surrounded with evidence of terrorizing and kidnapping, targeting with the same terrorist agency that stalked me in the same way at this Starbucks. And being in the same city is speaking to what is the pattern of conduct. Under no circumstances are those facts that are aiding them as a defense in court with regard to what is under all circumstances gang stalking and furtherance of murder. It is a pattern that is also hurtful to the Starbucks Corporation, as I'm going to sue them civilly and criminally regarding criminal surveillance, which is directly rebutting, and they are maliciously abusing what are private property rights that do not exist, and they know they do not exist, while they're engaging in surveillance with that government that they criminally summon in order to obstruct justice. That's not private property ownership. Those are not private property ownership rights, and the government's engaged in surveillance, period. All right, the employees crossing path while monitoring, just like yesterday, license 6LWX400. This is the entity that is engaged in gang stalking. As you can see in the images, Starbucks is monitoring and targeting me while demons maintain a large truck, signage, which is light activity. Starbucks is engaged in what is a personal vendetta while I document that corporation. That's the mentally ill psychopath that's monitoring you and is hostile while you enforce your rights about them conspiring your murder. Yeah, that's the P.O.C. The entity, J. Chu and, like I stated, Rodriguez, they're going to prison, but so are the demons of what is Starbucks. All right, Demon comes out and operates Ocean's vehicle. It's not Ocean. Ocean's vehicle is license 22155N3. And this demon does so creating light activity. License 5VOG870. These are Starbucks employees. License 9 Mary Henry Victor 520. That's Starbucks going out and creating light activity. Employee license 5 David Nancy Xavier 602. License 9 Charlie Victor Paul 622. License 7 Thomas Henry Xavier 757. And these demons are monitoring and they are engaged in what is criminal summoning as an entity. So Starbucks is targeting at 111 North Vineyard Avenue, aware of the fact that these demons at 507 North Euclid Avenue are going to federal prison and engaging in a pattern of targeting with Ontario Police equals federal prison. 6LWX400, federal RICO case, gang stalking with the company, engaging in purchases, stalking in the path, stalking with light activity, monitoring on communication devices, doing so in that same specific environment. The entity is surrounding me with the sound of plane engines, which is demonic activity. Planes are not heard taking off over here. All of that video documentation that I have of the entity stalking by planes, you're looking and witnessing demonic activity. It's not actually the sound of plane engines that you're hearing, in the same way that it's not the natural environment, it's not the sun that's over me at this Starbucks at 7:15 and again at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You're looking at demonic activity. Demonic activity does have sound and it does maintain actual substance. You can touch it, see it, hear it. It's demonic. This is the practice of what is witchcraft. These are the demon possessed. This is the reality of Satan, the spiritual realm, which has a tangible aspect to it. This is the P.O.C. Okay, they're engaged in demonic activity right in your face, and these are demons that I'm going to prosecute, and they're going to prison. And it includes Ocean, and Ocean's going to prison even while I go to another Starbucks, and I'm subject to that pattern of conduct. All right, license 8JAG990, stalking in the path with light, P.O.C. The entities engage in criminal facilitation while their customers are gang stalking in furtherance of my murder. I'm going to prosecute Starbucks for that. And license plate 6WBB853. And the forced transport. That's a trucking company with a little rinky-dink paper license plate. These demons don't want to be documented, and that boat has sailed. But nonetheless, it is currently 6:27 a.m. The entity is monitoring while ARCO, the signage, you'll see the picture. So that's facilitation. ARCO's monitoring again, same license, 9TIH520. I believe I've read this terrorist license plate so much. And it is likely Balbir or Hardik. Yeah, Balbir parked her vehicle at gas stall number 8. She's monitoring. She's engaging in the pattern of conduct while Starbucks maintains signage. And the entity is doing that with regard to what is, again, having some sort of personalized vendetta. So Starbucks is hosting light activity at that intersection, stalking in the path while I'm at that bus stop. That's the same iteration. That's the purpose of the fake sun. They're stalking with light. That's the whole purpose of a fake sun. Balbir, a gang stalking immigrant. Okay, perhaps probable cause to suspect. You need to, prosecution's going to include whether or not this is an immigrant or not. That's going to be the same with every prosecution. I don't care whether you're an African, whether you came on a boat from India, you're going to be deported back to wherever you came from. You're not staying in this country while you've been granted immigration status. 9 Edward Frank Henry 194, 8 Daniel Thomas Robert 313, P.O.C. And Balbir was monitoring me with Starbucks, even while I'm at 111 North Vineyard Avenue. That's what you need to understand. I'm documenting the pattern of conduct while I'm at the venue. I'm witnessing them threaten my life, gang stalk, and terrorize. 17800L2. For me to go to that's a crossing path and monitoring of Balbir and Chevron, where the entity was stalking by helicopter. Guess what Balbir is getting? She's getting a federal prosecution. She's still subject to deportation, while the entity is targeting me at Chevron, where I'm subject to the pattern of conduct right now. 5 RRT 372, ARCO's light activity. They turn off all the lights at the ARCO gas station. That's called light activity. It's not that they didn't pay their light bill. They're monitoring. License 9TIH520 is indeed this terrorist license plate at ARCO, and a demon's gang stalking at gas stall number 2. License 5 Victor Xavier Zebra 189. And light activity using what is the establishment itself. Yes, that's the pattern of conduct. Everything and anything, including your business. You're going to be prosecuted for it. And prosecution for terrorism includes federal prison. Prosecution for terrorism as it's exposed in the United States, since the demons and the Nephilim in the U.S., they make money off of terrorism. That's going to be a federal RICO case. Okay, your business is criminal activity. Your business is systematically facilitating domestic terrorism, murdering people and kidnapping them with the government while you make $1. All right, that's necessarily making sure that everybody has the true, genuine purpose of those companies, that those companies are recognized as the terrorists that they are, especially those company owners, those chief executive officers that want to represent themselves one way in the public, want you to be their consumer while they are keeping you under surveillance. Those domestic terrorist leaders need to be identified by name. Those are some of the leading companies that I've documented gang stalking me over the years, conspiring my murder with the state of California. 9DDK864, like Starbucks, okay? Like UPS, where they're engaged in murder in Kentucky. UPS is engaged in a conspiracy to murder me, and my documentation surrounds UPS gang stalking me for years in very clear ways. You're hovering over the Economy Inn Hotel, flying in the direction south to fly over the top of my head in that hotel parking lot where the fake sun is over me at 7:15 in the morning, and that fake sun remains there until 7:15 in the evening, where you are clearly targeting while that environment is showing that, and you're flying over the top of my head. That's clearly targeting. That's no takeoff from the airport either. Neither is hovering over the Jack in the Box at Holt Boulevard when you're also hovering behind the amphitheater at the Ontario Town Square. This is the entity that's engaging in that. You have a sex offender driving a school bus, license plate 1407504, and they're gang stalking with the city of Ontario, engaging in surveillance, and they are in the industry of having children in their custody. While they're engaged in what is molesting with impossible, it's the sex offenders of the Ontario Montclair School District. You already know that. That's a female driving that school bus. License plate 1407504. The entity is stalking, flying across the sky space as that demon is engaging in surveillance. As I walk down the street, the fake sun moves, the fake moon moves, the population is maintaining crowds of what is presence and engineered lights, not even their headlights. It's not naturally occurring. It's all demonic activity. This is the Nephilim that's stalking. The Nephilim referred to itself as J. Chu and Rodriguez. Those two fools are going to prison. Those are idiots. They're going to prison. Those are the demons that eat their own feces. Okay, and they're very hostile toward me because I'm letting you know that these are feces-eating, vagina-monitoring gargoyles. They're light slingers. They're demons. They're stalkers. Okay, this is the entity that's engaged. That's why J. Chu was so rude yesterday. License 9MDP223, I believe. You can scratch that because I'm not sure about the third to last character. But nonetheless, or substantially similar because the federal government can look it up. And they're also, they're aware of this investigation. So the demons are being watched while they're stalking me. Nonetheless, the entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and they're also rude because they are demons. Okay, you arrive at a Starbucks and you admit that nothing happened, but they just want you to leave for no reason. So why are you being indignant? Did they say that I choked somebody out? Huh? Did they say I put my foot on their neck and pulled their ponytail out? Did they say I did that? Did I say I put my boot in her mouth? Did they say that? Oh, they said that nothing happened, that I'm not a customer, they want me to leave. So that indignant behavior toward J. Chu, that's also unwarranted because these are monitoring demons who are hostile to my evidence. My evidence speaking to their conspiracy to murder me, not the other way around. I'm not out here trying to plot somebody's murder. I'm exposing that they murder American citizens. I'm exposing that they are the Nephilim. Did you know that demons, they want to kill you? Did you know that? They want to possess you. Did you know that? They want you to be a puppet. They want you to be a feces-eating light slinger. GPC, gang stalking. License 09979 Edward 4. They want you to be out of your mind as well. They want you to be miserable and suicidal because that's what they are. They want you to be a gang stalker, a puppet of this system of surveillance. That's what they want. That's what, in other words, this is all in service of Satan. That's what Satan wants. This is also relevant content. I'm going to prosecute J. Chu and Rodriguez and that agency, Mike LORENZ. What else happened? Starbucks is gang stalking me. They're going to prison. I'm gonna leave that alone. They're going to prison. But not only that, you're rude. While you're gang stalking me, you're very rude, sir. You're very rude, especially when you're admitting that nothing happened and that they just have a right to exclude me. So why are you being rude? And not only that, you're being rude while you're threatening my life. You see that big old gun on his hip? He's going to prison. Take another look at it. He's going to federal prison. You're engaging in what is stalking me. And you're stalking me, which Starbucks requested for you to come stalk me in my face with them.
engage in federal stalking together. They're hand in hand while he has a big old gun on his holster, exercising authority that he doesn't have under the law, and he's prepared to enforce that criminal conduct with that gun, bearing that badge. Threatening my life is what Starbucks is engaging in, and they're still threatening my life by gang stalking. They're gang stalking now as I'm not even at the intersection of E and Euclid. License plate, stalking. 7UZZ292. These are cowards. This is what you understand. The entity has the fake sun shining. Nobody's forgetting this. You already know about the documentation. So the federal government, you're looking at what are a bunch of cowards, and their cowardice is proof of their guilt. Their cowardice is proof of their surveillance. License plate. 9 Charlie Thomas Wendy 074, Ontario Montclair School District. Yeah, taking another bow at it. 1518712, stalking with light. And so is this demon 9JSB 398, stalking at B Street and Euclid Avenue. Psychopath stalking with light in the parking lot. And just like those cowards that are stalking, wearing diapers, molesting with light all night long, trying to run out the parking lot, but yet you're not stalking. So why does me getting up and walking cause you to step on the gas? License 09890X2. That's a light slinging gargoyle in a white van engaging in surveillance, stalking. And let me give you the company name while these demons are engaged in surveillance. That's PRL, Gas Systems. They're engaged in surveillance. These are rapists that pull women into vans and kidnap them. All right, they're gang stalking in these black tinted windows, stalking in the path with light. That's a psychopath and a sex offender. And that's an entity engaging in criminal surveillance with the government that's stalking with regard to my position while they're stalking with light, and comes with the entity maintaining aerial surveillance. Those are kidnappers that are engaged in gang stalking, hiding inside of the depths of this van, stalking with light. That's a psychopath. That's the feces eating demons. That's P.O.C. This is B Street and Euclid Avenue. The fake sun is over me both in the morning and in the evening, replete with Ontario police stalking me by helicopter at this intersection. Just to give you an example of what is ongoing surveillance. This is an entity that's, again, the cowards that they are. The cowards that they are with regard to light slinging and running off. With regard to what is criminal summoning. While I am documenting on my device and you're scared to death about the how powerful my evidence is and how I don't have to say a word to you, right? While you are engaged in that stalking conduct, 8 Zebra, Edward, Xavier 444, Rebco, REBCO, crane and rigging, those are demons. All right, that large truck is taking this route as a means of what is audible activity. And while you see that large truck, it's actually a demon and it's amplified audible activity. 7ZER 967, 24601 N1, Alabama. That's a gang stalking business. Anyway, the entity is engaged in this conduct, and they're doing so while the pattern of conduct is underway. And that pattern of conduct is speaking to cowards that are rude. And this is they're rude while you have a big old gun on your hand and on your hip. And not only that, your job is coming around and making sure that I'm not basically sitting there. I bully them while I document on my phone. I don't have to say a word. And their bullying tactics is supposed to be helicopter activity. I sit silent and I take screenshots, right? And I read license plates. And they're bullied by that. In fact, they call in the diaper wearers. And guess what? The diaper wearers are going to prison. Omnitrans is gang stalking 1613646, bus 1270. The entity is engaged in that pattern of conduct, and that's what's behind these two midgets, Rodriguez and Chu, that are gang stalking with the demons of Starbucks, whose light activity is all inside. We're going to look at that together. We're going to recall all the evidence inside of Starbucks, where the sun would never be on the same Holt Boulevard at 7:45 in the morning, and it's still over Holt Boulevard, while I'm at that Starbucks at 1:18 p.m., where those demons are engaged in criminal summoning. It's not going to be over that Starbucks while it's over me at the Starbucks in off of Euclid Avenue during daylight savings time or not. Every hour of the day it's over me. I mean, it's more than just that Starbucks, but I'm using Starbucks as a prime example because the entity has the fake sun over me at the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where Ocean, she's going to federal prison for kidnapping for that evidence, but the entity is engaged in what is this light activity. Well, the entity has the fake sun over me at the Chevron at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, at the OVITT Family Community Library entrance at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when that library opens. The entity has the fake sun over me while I'm documenting Tracy Banks and the Ontario International Airport that's gang stalking me with this Starbucks that engaged in criminal summoning yesterday. Tracy Banks is at the OVITT Family Community Library, if you'll recall, a couple weeks ago, while she's stalking me with the rest of this entity at that library, and the fake sun's over the entrance, and it's at around 1 o'clock. And the entity has the fake sun there, which is not over the entrance. And they are engaging, also they're cowards, while that fake sun is shining brightly, right? And then as I walk out, 12:41 p.m., as I walk out, they arrive after approximately 1:18 p.m. is when I start recording video, and of them stalking and directly. Because understand, Starbucks gang stalking is the Ontario Police gang stalking. That's the city of Ontario that's engaged in surveillance. That's why the light activity is happening. And it's unintelligent light activity. Nobody forgot about the shining, radiant, bright light shining through the drive-through window of that Starbucks while you have the entity engaged in criminal summoning. There's no bright light that's coming through any sort of drive-through window. It's got an extensive covering over it. The sun is not at the same elevation as Spire's restaurant. Spire's restaurant isn't holding some spotlight out to aim it through your drive-through window that's going to shine on me through that drive-through. The entities engaged in what is stalking with light inside, that's already on the record, while they engage in what is criminal summoning. The entities engaged in that pattern, omni-transit gang stalking. The entities engaged in that pattern of conduct is bus number 2342. The entities engaged in that pattern of conduct while they are monitoring, and they're monitoring my evidence as I'm capturing it on my device. That's what's directly relevant behind what is not even private property rights. It's a matter of what is fact and going to be exposed about the United States that we're under surveillance. That's going to be directly relevant to damages that Starbucks is going to compensate for regarding their malice with which they were targeting and intentionally targeting, not incidentally engaging in the government's pattern of conduct, intentionally. I've documented the pattern of conduct, the behavioral pattern, in addition to the specific environment. That's not an accident, that's not incidental engagement, that's intentional. And then you have what is also intentional, that ongoing poor customer service. There's a reason for that. There's a reason why you're calling the police for me to just make a purchase when you could have just asked, would you like to make a purchase this morning, Miss Spencer? Like you do every other day? Right? You're perturbed about that damning picture I took of that fake sun at 7:26 p.m. and 7:26 a.m., huh? That bothers you. So you summon the diaper wearers themselves that are stalking me every day at this Starbucks in helicopter. And then they walk in with a straight face and some have an attitude like Jay Chu while you're essentially threatening my life with a gun on your hip, acting like you're the police who would have a right to arrest me while you are conspiring my murder. You are not, none of that is private property rights at all. And they know that. That's why they're engaged in that level of poor customer service, because they're engaged in surveillance and they're seeking to obstruct justice. Those combination of facts, I'm giving you a rough summary of it. The entity is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally. Starbucks is going to dearly pay for the pattern that these puppets that Starbucks has entrusted with their company, but Starbucks is engaged in monitoring, so Starbucks is suffering justice. You need to know that Starbucks is engaged in terrorism. You need to know that Starbucks actually hates you. They just want your money. You need to know that these are demons that are running these companies. You need to know that these are companies that are ran by people in other parts of the world that are keeping us under surveillance, and the Nephilim are here cooperating to that end. It just so happens that we happen to be nations and peoples, and we have a constitution, but Satan doesn't care anything about that. And all manner of lines, legal, political, national, are crossed while the Nephilim are keeping us under surveillance, both here in the U.S. and in other countries, and they make money centering around it. Companies like Starbucks, 9GOT730, they make money. I'm going to prosecute for that. I'm going to prosecute for that because they conspired my murder, and they have been so drunk with power, so much money, so much connections, so many people, so many diaper wearers that are stalking in helicopter. There'll be Erica Spencer will be an easy lick. What's she gonna do? Who is she? She doesn't know anything. So what? She went to law school. What does she know? So what? She's a licensed attorney. She's not doing that anymore. We handled that. What can she do? She can't do anything. She can't do anything except for what we say, because we're God. We're God. We create reality. We create the rules. We even create the laws in which that are going to be observed or not. This is what these demons tell themselves. License 9 Larry Victor Paul 393. That's what these demons tell themselves. They are accustomed to engaging in what is creating the circumstances, that is manufacturing facts, manufacturing details of what happened, manufacturing crimes, manufacturing mental illness. That's what they do, and that's why they're so drunk with that they're delusional, and that was the perfect setup for me to come in and expose, and that's what's happening, and you're going to prison. I'm talking, imagine everybody close your eyes. In your mind's eye, imagine me in the center of a circle. That circle, which is the P.O.C, where these demons have me surrounded, with a large sword that's extending beyond the line of that circle, and everyone's getting their head cut off, every single last one of them. Okay? This isn't Mortal Kombat, and it's not a game, but I'm letting you know that that's what's happening. That was a perfect setup because they are being prosecuted. In fact, the desperation that I'm capturing, that I'm putting on X, of the entity stalking me by helicopter at that same Starbucks, 111 North Vineyard Avenue, while I'm publishing video onto X, that's the pattern of conduct while I'm being subject to surveillance on the internet at the same venue where that agency is engaging in criminal surveillance via criminal summoning, while you would claim nothing happened and they have a right to, no, you're monitoring, and that's in conformity to a pattern of conduct. And it's also proven while that agency engages in a documented pattern of harassment, proven through what is also the specific environment, while I'm publishing evidence on the internet. This is the entity that's doing so in the afternoon while the fake sun was still there and I'm being molested with light. In the evening while I'm publishing evidence again onto X, and those demons are flying over the top of my head. The exact same thing that they did while I'm at the Ontario Town Square. The exact same thing that they did again at the Chevron, where Balbir is gang stalking right now. Balbir is being prosecuted while she's at home, or wherever that demon is at, in the middle of the night, where the Ontario police are showing that Chevron is gang stalking me. It's not going to be based, and it's not based, and the P.O.C is not based on some work schedule where those demons are engaged in targeting together and intentionally remove themselves from the gas station so the demons can fly over my head. That's not removing them. They're not removed when those demons are stalking and slinging that light inside of that building and inside of that Chevron and under that fake sun that's rising and setting while Balbir is sitting right there. That immigrant, if that's what she is getting deported. She's getting deported, including while Ontario police target at the place where she works, where she is gang stalking, proving what Chevron is doing 24 hours a day with the people of the state, with the government that is after business hours. That gas station's open 24/7, by the way. After business hours, engaging in what is gang stalking me, and the people of the state are still engaged in that pattern of conduct. The entity is ignorant. That ignorance is relevant to what is their mental illness, however. That's that feces eating. People that eat their own feces are not intelligent. They're not intelligent enough to know that you shouldn't eat your own feces. That's not healthy. Okay? It doesn't smell good. It's not going to garner you a lot of friends. People aren't going to want to hang out with you when you're eating your own feces. These demons don't want to hang out with you. They want to monitor you. And they want you to be of that same club. They want you eating your own feces. They want you eating your own feces and telling yourself and everybody else that that's the cool thing to do. They want you eating your own feces and lying about how cool that is. And they want you to be of that same mindset, doing that to other people. And targeting those that do not eat their own feces. That's essentially what the demon-possessed are doing, gang stalking. They're mentally ill psychopaths. Okay, they're violent sex offenders. This is P.O.C. And the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct while they are monitoring the evidence. So I want to document that. Anyway, it's 6:47 a.m. Alrighty, license plate 1545686, Route 61, bus 2355. The entity is gang stalking at, this is via the operation of Route 61, Limit and HOLT, and doing so through the Omnitrans bus, meaning Omnitrans is always gang stalking. All of their bus routes are engaged in the pattern of conduct. I just so happen to be at the bus stop, so I'm documenting that license plate. It's not like they're gang stalking right now because they're stopped at the stop and I'm in front of it. They're monitoring just like this while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, the Ontario Town Square. The entity stalking by flying over that town square property. Omnitrans is on the roads and the highways, always monitoring. That's why the sun's not moving through those bus windows. That would be quite a scene, wouldn't it? That would be pretty spectacular for you to see on the outside what I'm documenting on that bus, which is a fake sun moving at the same speed as the bus while I'm sitting on that bus. Wherever I'm positioned on that bus is where that fake sun situates itself over my head, moving. And from the outside, when you're looking in the sky space, that is necessarily moving, including from city to city. That's not what I'm documenting when I'm not aboard Omnitrans. That fake sun remains stationary. In fact, it remains stationary over me all day long. And that's exactly what I was just discussing with regard to the cowardice of the demons that are surrounded with evidence. While I suppose I wasn't recording, I'm recording now at 6:59 a.m. And the entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, maintaining what is aerial surveillance, 6 NPB 008, I believe, but 9GAJ218 is correct. The entity is engaged in 39830T1. The entity is engaged in what is maintaining aerial surveillance in the sky space. That's the role that these gang stalking airlines play. The government is maintaining surveillance directly as well. Those are the small government planes engaging in the same exact pattern of conduct. Their pattern, as you also pay attention, as I identify terrorists like UPS, like AROCKX2, I believe. That's a license plate. That's a terrorist as well, but I'm speaking specifically the aerial surveillance tactic. While I'm documenting the entity that, and I document the terrorists, Southwest Airlines or United Airlines, and I document them engaged in psychopathic pacing, whatever it is I identify, you'll see the entity follow the same surveillance, but they'll use the government acting directly in their smaller planes. That's the entity that's sharing the pattern of conduct. Everything that they're doing is pursuant to me documenting and exposing them. They're still stalking. They never stop stalking. These are, again, like I stated, why I describe in that manner. I described LAPD in the same way because that's how heavily they were stalking me. Diaper wearing demons. You're wearing diapers because you never take a break. You eat, sleep, and defecate me, and you don't take a break from that. The entity is engaged in 24-hour surveillance because of the threat that my documentation poses with regard to exposing, okay? Exposure is a threat with regard to surveillance. That is a lawful thing. That is a good thing. It's a threat to Satan, who is the spirit of psychopaths who are that is operating through people who are absurdly mentally ill. That's speaking to all the ways in which surveillance is occurring. And now what I did state, I'm going to repeat again. The entity that is full of cowards, cowards that are, again, gang stalking me with an attitude, a chip on their shoulder because they are intimidated by the level and the ease with which I'm able to prosecute them, including on my little handy dandy device. Okay, so while you are admittedly keeping me under surveillance because there's nothing in the natural that is, and they even admit that, well, no reason, I mean, it's private property and they can, if they want to, they can oh yeah, okay, no, actually, it's not private property, and I'm going to prosecute Starbucks for the harms inflicted upon their engaging in surveillance, which is proven. It's not some conspiracy theory that's going to be dismissed in court. It's proven surveillance, and Starbucks is maintaining surveillance. And not only that, they're doing so via those employees that are engaged in surveillance, the people of the state, and they engage in harassing me while they're engaged in surveillance and targeting me to remove me and threatening to kidnap me with those that are maintaining that surveillance system in Ontario. That is no exercise of private property rights as an occupant or an owner. Private property is the direct opposite of the presence of criminal surveillance by the state. And also, while you're engaging in that with the population that's engaged in what is inherently violating the privacy of everyone, surveillance is the direct opposite of privacy. You don't even have privacy in the bathroom. No, you do not. You are not on private property, but that's the desperation of the entity. That's literally what they uttered because that's all they have, and that's how scared they are of me. That's how scared they are. So they throw that up because they're scared about what I'm documenting, and you're so scared you run into federal prison time because that's all that you gain. You're going to prison. And that, but I want to be clear, 33098 Larry 3 is engaging in that same criminal system while facing that federal prosecution. So this is what an entity is engaged in. That was an act of fear, and it's the same thing. This is what I stated. The entity is engaged in that conduct at 6:47 a.m. while I'm at the bus stop. At 6:55 a.m. I capture video. The entity is hovering repeatedly outside of what's published on the schedule for the Ontario International Airport as well, in a manner where you're taking off from that airport like Southwest and UPS are doing at HOLT and Vineyard Avenue. You're acting like you're taking off there, but you're hovering over the storefronts. You're hovering over my head. You're hovering over the Starbucks and over the Lavish Oak and over the UNICARE Community Center, miles away, northwest miles away, where I am showing a fake sun that's rising. My body is being molested with engineer light that's appearing on the wall of that RAYBON mortgage premiere at 537 North Euclid Avenue at that bus stop. The next day, the entity, that is a bunch of cowards that approaches me with a chip on their shoulder after nothing happened. Nothing happened, and so they have to call the police after nothing happened. They're calling the police because they're scared. they're calling the police, and it's not because I'm going around wielding a knife. It's because my weapon is my evidence. That's why. My weapon is, I am the weapon. Me, my documentation. This investigation, which they're all engaging and watching. And while that case walks into Starbucks, and they are gang stalking, and they're still gang stalking, that's exactly what I capture them doing while I'm outside of that cafe. They're going to prison for that. You're not going to employ terrorism against an American citizen. You're not even supposed to be engaging in that. You don't have any right to make $1 on top of that while you're engaged in surveillance. And you commence to engage in terrorism and harassment and molesting with impossible light because somebody is enforcing their rights against you violating the law against them. Starbucks is conspiring my murder while gang stalking. That impossible light activity is all over inside of that cafe. While those idiots, J. Chu and Rodriguez, showed up. Those two midgets, those two feces-eating light slingers, those gargoyles, those idiots showed up on camera. They're going straight to prison. They're going to prison, and so are the demons of the Ontario at 111 North Vineyard Avenue. That's Starbucks, engaging in a pattern of targeting while they would on their surface. Well, you know, because this is what they're admitting in court. Oh, you can add to it. Oh, you can add to it. That's fine. You can add to it because that's not what you stated at the time. And when you're calling the police, you're calling the police as an establishment that should be treating all the customers in the same manner. Why are you targeting this? And there's a pattern with my being targeted after nothing ostensibly has happened. Nothing that they are, because you're not monitoring what's going on my phone, right? Why would you be all up in my mouth? So what? I'm reciting. What do you know about a license plate if I'm reading, speaking about characters 8PTL89? What does that mean to you? What does that mean to you? That's the entity that's engaged in what is very much all up in my mouth, and they're also all up between my legs, monitoring my genitalia. All right, stalking me, flying over my head everywhere that I'm going, just like I documented at that Starbucks that engaged in criminal summoning, admittedly after nothing happened, while they are maliciously and erroneously claiming that they can, as private property owners and occupants, and no, you are not, and no, you do not. No, you're not. No, you cannot when you're conspiring murder. No, you cannot, and no, you do not, and no, that is not private property. They're going to prison for that. That's a malicious tactic regarding gang stalking, criminal summoning. The intent to obstruct justice and threaten my life while you're in the midst of a public investigation. Those fools engaged in that while they're admittedly engaging in surveilling me. 7UTX811. And so is Ocean and Amelia and Patty and those mental health patients, 6WXD271. Those are mental health patients, and they showed their mental illness all over. I documented them. Engage in very demented behavior. The stalking with light conduct, they might as well, because when you're looking at that, you're looking at what is tantamount to putting your hand in the back of your pants, digging in between your anus, and pulling out some feces and putting it in your mouth. Because that's exactly, that evidence is tantamount to severe mental illness, stalking with light. That's what Amelia and Ocean and Patty and Brian, that's what they all engage in, stalking with light. Mentally demented behavior while they're stalking altogether. Mentally ill behavior. Not different from the demons that are wearing uniforms and they just don't want to look like they're mentally ill and they want to be taken seriously and be treated as though they have authority, while they are of that same species, digging in their pants and pulling out feces from between their buttocks and putting it in their mouth while they're stalking with light, flying and stalking me by helicopters day and night. Okay, and admittedly doing so while they're using police vehicles and using helicopters and all manner of an emergency because they're scared and intimidated because there's feces-eating gargoyles, license 6NCAP527. That's the entity that's engaging in what is eating feces while they're stalking as an airport at HOLT and Euclid, where you've already seen the fake sun rise and set, okay? You've already seen it. And there's no takeoff here where Southwest and UPS are doing that at the opposite end of Holt Boulevard at Vineyard and Holt. The entity, why is the activity getting loud? Because they hate hearing the truth about the fact that they eat feces. Because that's what you're doing on camera in front of the world while you're stalking with light and stalking under a fake sun. Can I help you?
Yes, please. Is there a stamp office around here? I'm homeless on the street.
Oh, you don't know? There's a post office over there.
The post office?
Post office on the opposite side of Holt.
EBT office.
Oh, I thought you said post stamps? You mean food stamps?
Yeah, they cut my card.
That would be down Holt Boulevard. 1627 Holt. This is the audible activity. Is there anything else? It would be at Holt and
Is there housing around here, like free housing? Like a place I can go to stay?
I don't know of any. There's a City of Ontario like housing services or something, but I don't even know where that office is. And a lot of times, unless you have like an addiction or some sort of drug issue, that in that circumstance it would be helpful because they're more inclined to help you with those sort of addiction issues, and they'll also help you with your addiction issue itself.
Well, I'm not on drugs or anything. I just
well,
got out of jail.
Rehabilitation, recidivism, they may have something for that, but I'm not sure. I don't really know because City of Ontario, they do have an office, but I don't know where it is. Actually, you can go inside of the OVITT Family Community Library when it opens. And this is P.O.C. by the way. You can go inside of the office when it opens, the OVITT Family Community Library. There's an office inside of that library. There's a social worker. She's associated with the City of Ontario, and she can give you information. Because I don't know where that office is. I don't. But there's a social worker inside of the OVITT Family Community Library.
My feet hurt. bus.
Just so that you know, I'm giving you the information. It opens at 10, and I just want to let you know, if you're really looking for that, it's City of Ontario, and I think she's associated with that office, with what you're asking. It's in the library though.
Okay.
So when you walk in, you can ask her. But she's got an office, and I believe it's Wednesday, right? It's Wednesday. So Monday to Wednesday, so you can ask about the help. And if you're talking about the EVT office, it would be down Hall Boulevard, and it would be on 1627 East HOLT. You would have to, unless you can walk. It's not that far to me, but it's down HOLT. Oh yeah. You probably need to get on Route 61 and go down don't cross Vineyard Avenue. Get off before Vineyard. And if you call the bus driver, they'll help you.
Yeah, no, haven't helped. I get on the bus, it says no free rides.
I got a free ride last night.
Well, yeah, yesterday was Veterans.
Oh, okay, that's why. That
So
makes sense.
it said no free rides, so no recreational rides.
No courtesy rides. Yeah.
And I'd just be like,
oh, meaning you can't afford to get on the bus? Is that what you're saying?
right.
Oh, yeah, it's not that far. Oh, your feet hurt though. Sorry. Yeah, it's down at 1627. That's the only office that I know of over here for the EVT. You can get online. You can call them, and they can probably help you with what you may have a question on. All right. Have a good day. All right. It's currently 7:11 a.m. The entity is monitoring, even by asking a question. That's the people of the state, okay? So that's why I stated, can I help you? Because he's standing there while the entity is stalking by plane, while the demons are coming. How are you coming close via surveillance and traffic? Stopping right here at the intersection with your lights, with your turn signal on, while the entity flies over by plane, clearly stalking. The fake sun is right here. This is the fake sun that is not in alignment, by the way, and not hovering over the Bethel Congregation Church like I'm documenting yesterday as I take pictures of where the fake sun rises. And it rises in alignment to me, which is what it's doing now. It's just that I'm nowhere near where Bethel Congregation is located. That's how you know that that's stalking. 8S U.S. 710. And I don't have a problem answering a question to the people of the state. They're acting like they're not gang stalking. And I conduct myself in the same manner. That's why under those circumstances, when you engage in gang stalking at Starbucks by criminal summoning, you're admittedly engaging in that P.O.C. You're watching me engage and conduct my investigation regarding a secret surveillance system, and I'm showing you all the ways in which they are highly unintelligent. And they are always, while not speaking about surveillance, you don't have to talk about the fact that you're stalking with light. Everybody sees it. You don't have to talk about the fact that you're gang stalking me. The government is telling on you while they're outside of this establishment stalking by definition, while you're around in engineer light and your mental illness is showing, like the feces underneath your nails, where you're snacking on your own feces, while the entity has engineer light inside of this establishment, the fake sun over me, following me to this establishment. You don't have to say a word. And you engage in what is targeting me and harassing me, you're going to prison, and you don't have to say a word. But Jay Chu did more than that. Jay Chu said a mouthful, and he's going to prison for it, threatening to engage in kidnapping. And you're engaged in this system, which is serving what is criminal defamation. You eat your own feces, Satan. Who are you to talk about my character? That's how unstable you are. These demons are going to prison. You are highly imbalanced. You are obsessively stalking. Look at my documentation yesterday. Stalking me, flying over my head. War tactics against an American citizen. Doing so at the Starbucks at 111 North Vineyard Avenue. Doing so again, and doing so as while I'm in the process of publishing video evidence onto the internet. Not a coincidence. That's federal stalking. Title 18, Section 22618, subsections 1 and 2. Flying over my head again as I leave that Starbucks and I go to the Ontario Town Square while I am publishing evidence onto the internet, the podcast. That's again while I'm walking from the Ontario Town Square and I'm crossing the street and I'm at Chevron. Well, Bal Beer is gang stalking me right now under what is a fake sun that's not next to her place of work. It's not the natural environment, and it also isn't when at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, those are the same circumstances of that environment. She's surrounded by evidence that she doesn't have to admit anything to me. I've surrounded her with the evidence, proving that that company, and that this city, the government is engaged in surveillance, and that they are feces-eating psychopaths while they do that. And thinking that your facial expression or that your position or a bunch of acronyms behind your name or initials or letters behind your name is some sort of, that's legally irrelevant, Satan. You and all those initials will be in prison. You violate the law, you're going to prison. Who told you that some feces-eating demon is some exception to the law? You told yourself that. You told yourself that. You're delusional. This is the pattern of conduct. The entities engage in that pattern of conduct while they are monitoring my evidence. Monitoring my evidence while they're admittedly engaging in that same pattern of conduct. And they're a bunch of cowards stalking by helicopter while they're engaging in what this pattern of conduct, and you're scared to death because of the power with regard to, the power with which I'm prosecuting you. One person and a whole bunch of demons, all of them. And that's what you have. You can have thousands and thousands of people that eat their own feces. Guess what you have? A large, pungent group of feces-eating losers. You will never, ever be some elite group. You're lying about what you are. You eat your own feces. You're not elite. You're a bunch of pedophiles, stalkers, you're sex offenders, you're thieves, you're liars, you're frauds, you're con men. That's what you are. You're demons. You're the Nephilim. There's nothing elite about you. And you're terrified of me because I come in the name of Christ Jesus. You're terrified. And guess what? Under the law, you don't get to target me because of that. And I'm gonna prosecute you. Imagine that. I'm gonna prosecute you. I'm dragging you in the court of public opinion, and I'm gonna prosecute you. I'm gonna drag you in court. That's the reality. That's why they're stalking, because that's definition of stalking, literally following from place to place, from the Starbucks to the town square to the Chevron. They are stalking using helicopters. In addition to that, it's even more scientific. They are stalking under the fake sun with regard to a pattern of conduct that is shared by a population that's engaged in what is stalking with light while I'm in operation of my devices using the internet, flying over the top of my head, targeting, stalking, monitoring. Doing so again while I'm at the Ontario Town Square, monitoring, stalking. Doing so while I'm at the Chevron, monitoring, stalking. The airport, that police department, those minions that are engaging in what is stalking and wanting to hide. There's no hiding. Omnitrans is having a good time gang stalking at the bus stop. The entity is shining the fake sun and covering it up. Those are the cowards that are engaged in the pattern of conduct. There's no sun that's going to be over Bethel congregation. And while it's remaining over me, while I'm at the intersection of HOLT and this is HOLT and Vineyard. All right, this is the P.O.C. Those are the demons that are gang stalking with regard to surveillance of documentation. This is long past. License EH50J72. There is never going to be a sun over me at this intersection, which I have on the record, at 2, 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the evening, while it's over me right now, whether it's covered up by clouds or not. The entity is already defeated. These demons are idiots. That they eat their feces. What do you expect? They're idiots. They're engaging in this conduct while they are admittedly stalking. All right? This is P.O.C. Let me show you what is not a takeoff. Not a takeoff at all. Targeting. This is light activity. Omnitrans is gang stalking. These are the cartwheels. Targeting where I'm at, and that is indeed the fake sun, and it's not over Bethel congregation. They're targeting while they're triggered by the podcast that is being captured in real time. This is the 7:17 a.m. fake sun, which is not even anywhere near creating any light activity. It's not going to be hovering over the Bethel congregation at 536 North Euclid Avenue to aim sunlight onto my person, where I remained yesterday at the intersection documenting Starbucks, that intersection E and Euclid, where the entity's keeping the fake sun on the same street, where, by the way, where J. Chu and Rodriguez, this is HOLT, where J. Chu and Rodriguez are stalking at 1:18 p.m. This fake sun's on the same HOLT Boulevard over Starbucks, where the airport is stalking, where UPS and Southwest is engaged in what is taking off on this same street, where the airport takeoffs are supposedly happening down there, not here, where they're engaging in takeoffs. They're engaging, cartwheels. This is what they're doing at this town square over here, targeting me. P.O.C. It is currently 7:18 a.m. This is the entity that's going to federal prison, that's monitoring my evidence. It's engaged in what is war tactics, stalking me in helicopters and planes, while I am maintaining an investigation about it, and they're going to prison. Their mental illness, such as, i.e., eating their own feces, stalking with light, stalking as a whole entity, the Nephilim, is going to be used, and it's relevant to them engaging in criminal defamation. Demons like Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are going to prison. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, I'm capturing video, and the entity is engaged in what is stalking as the airport, engaging in what is no takeoff. Neither was UPS taking off at Holt Boulevard and Vineyard yesterday. At the Southwest Airlines, that's flying over my head on video at a heightened elevation, that's inconspicuous stalking in the sky space with the people of the state, license 7PMF969, 7HDD813, 6NGO, I can't really see the rest of that one, 9GOZ920, years of stalking, license 7WLE186, 1302481, City of Ontario. While the entity is engaging in that, that's the entity that's engaged in what is stalking together with Comfort Suites at that Holt and Vineyard Avenue intersection. That's the entity that's engaging in that conduct. The entity is maintaining second-by-second flight, obsessive stalking, psychopathic pacing. Let me show you. I'm going to take a picture. That's the same aerial surveillance. The entity is using a small government plane, engaging in cartwheels with the commercial planes, stalking where the fake sun is, okay? And that fake sun documentation, the status of that fake sun, which is not anywhere near or creating any sunlight on that wall of that bus stop where you can see my shadow. The rapid appearance of that engineer light going, you can see my hand as I raise it up in the air. Second by second, that engineer light covers my whole body. You can see my whole shadow. This is the documentation covered yesterday. This is not that. It's currently 7:20 a.m. These are demons that are stalking, and they're going to prison. It's the evidence that's relevant to criminal summoning yesterday. 6AYH652. It's also at what is 7:15, that's 8:15 a.m. during daylight savings time, not anywhere near the Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue to create any sunlight inside of that Starbucks where Ocean and Patty and Amelia, those feces-eating demons that stalk with light while they're monitoring, you're stalking while you're monitoring, and you're stalking where you work while you're monitoring. License 7ZCT731, and you are not a private citizen and it's not private property while you're engaging in surveillance, which is monitoring. With the government that's here stalking with planes, well, that's what they're doing at the Starbucks, stalking by helicopter. That's what they're doing at every Starbucks while they're stalking under a fake sun. That's what they're doing at every Starbucks while the entity's engaged in what is monitoring on my devices. These demons are going to prison, okay? And it's no mystery that you eat your feces and that I have overwhelmed all of the feces eaters with evidence proving that they eat their feces, that they are seeking to present themselves as those that don't eat their feces, and that's all that they are. They eat their feces. They're psychopaths. They are severely mentally ill. They are out here committing murder. They're out here seeking to present as sane, and they're not. They're the Nephilim. They're demons, and they're also engaged in criminal surveillance. 5ZAA291. This is P.O.C. All right, the entity's engaged in a pattern of conduct, and what you heard also, that's the people of the state monitoring while he's asking me a question. And the entity, I don't care. It's actually irrelevant to the entity that is stalking me so much, studying and monitoring me so much, aware of my true character. If you ask me a question, even if you're a demon, okay, and I know that you're hungry, I'll give you a banana, I'll give you whatever. These are demons that are sitting around studying me and stalking, and if you ask me a question, I mean, if you do something absurd, you've witnessed me, I will hand it to a demon. I don't mince words, okay? But if you ask me a question, even though I know that you're monitoring, okay, that's fine. I'll answer your question. Because I don't have a reason to. It's not even needing a reason. You don't return, strife with strife. That's not Christ-like either. But this is warfare, and this is also a prosecution, and this is a government that's conspiring my murder. Do not think that I'm going to sit here and have some sort of public spectacle while I'm here doing what the Lord God told me to do, and He told me to prosecute. That's what I'm doing. But, excuse me, that's what I've already done. So these demons, they're the ones that thought that they were going to bring war against God, you suicidal, light-slinging, feces-eating demons. No, it's not. You're suicidal. You don't bring war against God. You don't bring war against Him. Those are the demons, however, they asked me a question. He's monitoring. He's doing so while the entity is stalking right here at the airport. From the airport, the plane activity you can hear in the background because you hear me because he's sitting loitering in a relevant position. What he's doing is analogous to a demon sitting there aiming their light on me, which is what they're doing at Starbucks at night. He's doing that. What's the same elements? The fake sun. Okay, those are the demons at nightfall molesting with light. It's mental illness. It's malicious conduct. And so while he's standing there and not moving away, I'm still documenting. And so I finally asked, can I help you? What can I help you with? Because he's monitoring. Okay, but the entity is engaged in what is asking me a question, and I just want to be clear, that's a testament to their knowledge about my true character. But I don't need any validation. I don't care there is nothing that these demons can say, well, you've been stalking the whole time. They've been stalking the whole time. They engage in triggering people, harassing them, just like Starbucks is doing, and then they engage in using that to depict the character of an American citizen while you are gang stalking. That's what they're not speaking about, the fact that they're targeting that person. Okay, and the entities engaged in that's not going to work, and that doesn't work against anyone, and it certainly doesn't work against me. You're going to prison for that because you're conspiring my murder. I know exactly what you're doing, and there's a criminal objective. In fact, it goes even beyond the fact that you just want to watch me. You want to commit murder. That's the purpose of it. You're going to prison for that in case you didn't know that. Of course you don't. You're steady digging in your behind, eating your feces. Okay, the entities engaged in this pattern of conduct of surveillance that is underway by the state. all of the resources of the state, and the entity is asking me questions, that's the entity that's monitoring. Asking me a question, that's the entity that would like to falsely depict my character as being some unstable psychopath, while you're monitoring me, asking me questions that you know that I'm going to answer because I am helpful. I just want to point that out. That's a demon. That's a third party that knows my true character, by the way. That's what that's letting you know. But it doesn't matter. I don't care. They can lie and state, and they've already done it. Oh, you don't, and you're going to be stuck with that. You said that I'm a prostitute. You're going to stick with that, Satan. You said that I'm a prostitute while you were gang stalking, right? And you're the same one that has your hand in my money and my property while you're lying about the fact that I'm a prostitute, and actually you're the streetwalker. You're the one that pays for, that has customers that pay you for sex. That's actually you, right? That's actually you. In fact, you were doing that while you were acting like you were me? Is that what happened? Something like that? That's what we're gonna remember that when we're in court, and it's not coincidental that I'm documenting the government that's stalking me by planes, stalking me by helicopters, targeting me at the gang stalk facilitating venues, where they're admittedly engaging what is targeting me for no reason, while they're exercising authority under the law that they don't have because it's not private property. There is no such thing when you're engaged in surveillance with the government, and the government is engaging in surveillance with those that are sharing in that surveillance system, and they are resorting to such illusions such as private property and private property rights while they're engaging in that P.O.C. Admittedly engaging in what is targeting. That's what that is. You're admittedly engaging in targeting. You feel like kicking me off of this property, which you don't have a right to do, but you're engaging in that because you're engaged in surveillance, and you know about that damning screenshot I took of the Bethel congregation at 12:41 p.m. and at 12:41, while the fake sun's over my head at Starbucks, and the fake sun's over my head in the same manner at Bethel congregation. That's what you're engaged in. That's what you're admittedly monitoring. Okay, and that's also why you have an attitude while you come and exercise authority that you don't have. That's why. That's why you do it in an indignant manner. That's why you do it threatening kidnapping. Okay, that's why you do it with regard to citing the law incorrectly, which you don't even know, because you're engaged in surveillance. You don't know the law. It's not your job to know the law. It's your job to engage in surveillance and maintain surveillance, and it's my job to come prosecute you and expose you for it. All right, this is that P.O.C. The entity is maintaining that fake sun. The fake sun is present. The entity is shining it and covering it up. That's not the natural weather. It's not the natural weather. And under all circumstances, you're looking at what is the same HOLT Boulevard. Look at a map, people. Because in court, I'm explaining to you who are witnessing what is going to be understood in a courtroom. Okay, everybody's at a certain level in a courtroom, and you're talking about a certain level of understanding. And in a courtroom, this is well known. This is on the same street. And this is also speaking to what is surrounding with evidence of targeting in that very suspicious environment. And it's a pattern with regard to that suspicious environment. In fact, it's a pattern with other agencies like LAPD, Dominic Choi, Michael Moore, and the demon that followed Dominic Choi that was holding office in the interim. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so. This is a pattern of conduct shared throughout the state. Not just these demons who are not containing any pattern of conduct while you want to kick me out of a Starbucks, and you don't even have the right to do so. I have a right to actually sit in that Starbucks and not be subject to terrorism. That's what I have a right to do. Starbucks does not have a right to violate the constitutional rights of another while they maintain a business. That's what they're doing while they're engaged in surveillance. And while they're engaged in surveillance, they're engaged in what is harassing and targeting sexual violence. They're engaged in terrorism with the intent, on top of that, to obstruct justice. That's a whole other federal charge, a whole other criminal purpose. Exacerbating the harms, in other words, while they're engaging in what they don't have a right to engage in as a business. You're engaged in surveillance. You just added coffee into the mix. That's all you're doing. You're engaged in surveillance. You don't have any private property rights. And I'm documenting this pattern amongst every Starbucks, okay, that are engaged in gang stalking. That right does not exist. Okay, now what I'm explaining to you is what is going to be understood in a courtroom. Okay, I don't expect everybody to be an attorney. No, I don't expect everybody to have a law degree and understand I don't expect that. That's why I break down things to you. But what I'm breaking down here, this is going to be understood in court already. We're on the same, ladies and gentlemen, J. Chu and Rodriguez, we're on this same street engaging in what is the exercise of fictitious authority while the pattern of conduct is underway. And it's beyond Ontario, where I've already prosecuted this whole city. Okay, but the entity sharing that with LA County, with Orange County, with Kern County, with San Bernardino, this is San Bernardino County, with Riverside County, the entities with San Diego County, they're sharing that. Okay, what is over my head at San Diego Police Department at 1 o'clock in the afternoon during daylight savings time? Ooh, pray tell. Okay, that will be 12 p.m. standard time right now. where the airport is just providing willy-nilly evidence. Oh, you like targeting, you like stalking and terrorizing people, doing so using all the planes and all the helicopters, doing cartwheels. In fact, you do more of it while it's being documented. Okay, well in court, it's already understood that in San Diego County, we have evidence speaking to what is targeting that is proven as a matter of science while they're engaging in what is also relevant and proven, that the pilots that are taken out from the 2 terminals from the same airport that's not moving all around like the fake sun, that airport stays stationary. So you were always coming from an airport, one airport that address remains the same, while you're engaged in all manner of this presence in the path in an environment that is automatically suspect, and I'm putting that in delicate terms. I'm being conservative right there. The entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct in an environment where the sun's over me at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Right now, it will be 12 o'clock. It's 1 p.m. during daylight savings time. And I went to San Diego. I went to Broadway, 1401, and documented San Diego police, just to be clear. It's a facilitating venue. They're engaging in surveillance, and that is not coexisting with being over my head at OVITT Family Community Library, at the Starbucks, at the B&G Plaza, aboard Omnitrans on Euclid Avenue, any place, being over Tracy Banks' apartment at Woodside Senior Apartments, at her front door, which I documented evidence using that specific video evidence, by the way, or any other place. Because the sun, first of all, there's only one, and secondly, you're talking about the environment that's in the sun, the behavior of the sun, which is engaging in what is identical, consistent, predictable behavior, not what I'm documenting. Where, by the way, the entity is engaging in what is clear harassment, stalking me by flying over my head at the Starbucks last night, stalking me by flying over my head at the Ontario Town Square, stalking me by flying over my head at the Chevron, while you're following me from place to place, stalking. In that environment where San Diego is never going to get a sun because of the idiots that are stalking, clearly, in that environment, gang stalking, a pattern of conduct that Mike Lorenz, an identified domestic terrorist, he's going to prison for that. And there is no covering up any fake sun that's deviating from that. In a courtroom, this is understood. This is going to be laid out, okay? Amongst those who are trained to understand the law and recognize how a pattern of conduct is serving to prosecute for criminal activity, as you are able to frame a government for that, okay? Never mind the fact that it hasn't been done before, I did it. And I'm entitled to what the law requires. All right, this is P.O.C. It is currently 7:31 a.m. So this is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and these are the cowards that are engaging in that POC. And the entity is doing so with regard to, it doesn't help Ocean and Patty and Amelia. Let me get out the way over here. It doesn't help Ocean and Amelia and Patty for them to engage in targeting me at another Starbucks. It's incriminating them. There is nothing that again, these are demons that eat their own feces. So while you're engaging, and why am I referring to that? Because those are demons that have no sense of actually recognizing the fact that it's imprudent to do any of the things that they're doing. It's imprudent to have any of that very damning evidence occurring on the inside of that cafe. And it's also damning to engage in treating me in a manner that is showing that you're also targeting. Targeting is recognized in several ways, including the fake sun. Okay? This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they are monitoring the evidence. Ready to, thank you. This is POC. I have to turn on my Wi-Fi. I have an electronic pass. Okay? I'm going to stand right here. Alrighty, it's 7:32 by the way. Let me get my pass.
There you go, sir. Thank you so much.
You do have Wi-Fi, right? Okay. Yeah. Just so you can see, I have it. Activate guardians. Are you looking? Oh, okay.
I know sometimes it
Hold on.
takes forever to load up.
Okay, got it. And activate. And now it's thinking. Okay. Oh, here we go. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me see if okay. I'm not really started a pulse. It's 7:34. If I'm still recording, let me check right now. Handling more than one thing. I am still recording. Okay, I am aboard Omnitrends, as you can hear. And the entity has the fake sun, as I documented, and the entity keeps the fake sun in alignment to me as I am driven away from the location. And the entity is engaged in the pattern of conduct, as you are able to see that phenomenon. This is in defiance of nature, and these are the things that are understood in court. Okay, established, and I've established my foundation, and I've done it publicly because I understand how this is, first of all, criminal activity that's never been proven before, and it's also criminal activity that many people would like to claim that they have proof of, but nobody does. And this is what is actually established, and I believe when you have such, first of all, when it's such an egregious crime, number one, but also when the allegations are so high, so tall, so serious, so intense, you should be able, like I stated before, you should be able to prove it before the world. Yes, in a courtroom, but before the world. There is nothing to hide, and it is open exposure, and it's exposure of the U.S. government, and that is proof in and of itself with regard to the veracity of the speaker, myself, and also because it's not just about you believing what you state. People believe a lot of time things that are not true. So it's not about just subjective belief and passion and all of that. It's about actually objective truth that is not based on my emotion, whether I am speaking intensely or whether I am speaking at a low volume. The power of that evidence, though, it doesn't change. The power of that evidence remains potent. Okay, it's not based on the tone of your voice. It's not based on the volume. It's not based on your facial expression. It's based on that evidence that speaks for itself, and it is undeniable in a courtroom, regardless of the fact that it's criminal conduct by a government that has no business engaging in that, and that it's something that you wouldn't like to be true. It's something that you perhaps can't fathom. It's something that you maybe don't even understand until I break it down for you in evidence, where it is undeniable. It is that ability, however, to prosecute. All right, and it is speaking to what is inevitable exposure, and I find it appropriate, and I'm doing what I find necessary to do when the government is the criminal, and you cannot report to the government because the government is the one that's targeting you, then you have to go to the public. In fact, the public is crucial and vital, and what I found is that the public is a part of the criminal pattern of conduct. And that's also what makes it necessary to expose it on the internet, to expose it before the world, because the public is engaging in that pattern of conduct, targeting you together. Okay, and you cannot go to the police about it. The police are a part of the police are engaging in and enabling that criminal activity. Okay, and that is speaking to what is a whole other level of terrorizing reality. All right, so it's in many ways necessary, but it's also appropriate based on the allegations and based on the asserted offender, the government itself. So if you have allegations, prove them, okay? And you should be able to do that, and you shouldn't be saying things that aren't true and that you don't know and that you can't prove. That's not what this is. I'm stating what I know to be true, what I've seen with my own eyes, what I've experienced, what I've studied, and what I've also proven with facts that is absolutely 100% true. Okay, and then from that, you're getting what are the necessary implications, what are also inevitable truths derived from that. Exposure, what is derived from that, okay? It is currently 7:38 a.m. This is P.O.C. aboard what is...
You charge your phone in there. It's out there. Where
Are you talking to me?
yeah.
Charge my phone where?
Inside of there.
This?
Yeah.
I thought it was closed.
So,
Oh, yeah? Thank you.
you're like my favorite person.
Who's your friend?
Just like her.
People used to always tell me that, but I think it's just a conversation starter. I don't think I look like a lot of people. Okay. I take it she's strikingly gorgeous. And charming. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, she's quiet too.
Oh, yeah? something.
Really?
You must be onto something. So you're saying this is open? Are you telling me stories?
No, I'm not. You can go in there and charge your phone.
But where's the entrance at?
Right there where that door is open.
Oh, where he's going in?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, sir. That's very helpful.
No worries.
That's okay.
So.
This is Impossible Lighting. That is Union Pacific. And this is the fake sun. This is P.O.C. This is Pomona, California. The entity is targeting while the seat over there is vibrating. The floor that I'm standing on is not vibrating. And neither is it going to vibrate when you're on the train tracks. And all right, the video you just listened to is the city of Pomona. That is gang stalking, which is already established. With regard to the greater pattern of conduct of revealing the state of California that's engaged in surveillance, and with regard to the evidence that is already captured in Pomona, California, in 2018, by the way, and as of 2024 and 2025. The entity has the fake sun over me at 8:47 a.m. on video, where Union Pacific is the guise of what is sensational activity, where I'm inside of the train station, and you're looking at the fake sun. You are looking at the same formula for targeting with regard to what is demonic. The bus station that I'm inside of, engineer light is reaching into the depths while the entity is simultaneously keeping the fake sun, for example, over the United States Postal Service at 1555 East Holt Boulevard. It's over me at the Ontario Town Square. As I'm remaining at the Stater Brothers, walking down C Street, Vine, Vesta to get back to the Ontario Town Square from the opposite direction, proving that the fake sun is not the sun that's over me while I don't go to Stater Brothers and I remain at the Ontario Town Square where the airport is stalking and that police department is stalking. I'm in Pomona, California at the Pomona Regional Transit Center, and the impossible light combined with the fake sun is the evidence of targeting, and also the sensational activity with regard to targeting me inside of the Pomona Regional Transit Center is the evidence of targeting as well. In addition to that, while I'm capturing that video, the audible activity that is filling the city of Ontario everywhere that I'm going, while I'm at the Ontario Town Square and the entity, and while I'm inside of the library, while I'm inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, while at the Stater Brothers, inside of the grocery store, inside it, where in other words, the entity is stalking while the city is monitoring me, while the city is monitoring while the fake sun remains over me in Ontario, and the entity is using the guise of, but it's not the train, because the train is not going to create what is a public nuisance. That would be a public nuisance for the train to sound in the way in which I'm documenting. But not only that, the actual train is not at that volume level, and the entity is using that as audible activity while monitoring is underway, and everybody that's monitoring, which is the city, is stalking, okay? They're doing that while I am inside of the Pomona Regional Transit Center. Engineer light is reaching into the depths of that transit center, and it also happened very rapidly. The fake sun has been subdued, covered up. The entity maintaining pacing inside of the train station, however, they're still monitoring Foothill Transit, pacing with Omnitrans, pacing while I'm inside of this train station waiting area, and the entity maintaining what is a covered up fake sun. The train is when the fake sun again automatically, because it's been covered up, so the train sounds, and the train, as you can observe in the video, is not causing your ears to bleed, my ears to bleed. You can hear me speaking. It's something that would prevent this third party in here from talking on the phone. It's something that nobody would be able to hear anything, or the train activity, what the entity is surrounding with when they're monitoring and stalking me at the square, and you're hearing that train activity, while on public transportation and you're hearing that train activity, for example. But again, you're going to juxtapose that with evidence that's already on the record. Not only have I been on Metrolink capturing video while the entity is not going to cause the entity's engaged in amplification. In other words, the train activity is not as loud as what you hear when the entity is monitoring. It's demonic activity. In the context, the evidence of that is the fake sun is coexisting with that amplified volume. This is the entity that is covering up the fake sun, and that fake sun does not cause the light that's on the inside, on the floor inside of that train station. That's the formula with regard to letting you know when you're looking at the elements of monitoring. That's also letting you know that you're witnessing amplification. These are demons and they're engaging in monitoring. This is how they do so. And this is targeting conduct behavior. And it's targeting conduct. It's targeting behavior, excuse me. And the entity is also doing so while the entity is keeping the fake sun in Ontario, which is not going to be through the windows of the train station in Pomona. While you're looking at Union Pacific, that's not causing my ears to bleed, which is amplification under all circumstances and harassment while they're monitoring you. Okay, the entity is also engaging in harassment in Pomona while I'm sitting inside of the train station, and these tile, this is real tile. I'm sitting on the bench that's on the tile inside of a building, not in front of the, but even sitting on the train tracks outside at the Metrolink train station, the Fontana train, it's not causing an earthquake when you're, because you see the train. These are demons that engage in exaggerated circumstances. And the exaggeration is because they are demonic spirits that are spiritually, their stature, they're giants, but these are demonic spirits that are inside of people, and that demonic activity is occurring in the environment, but you're looking at people that are around it. This is demon possession, and it's a demonic environment. And the entity is engaging in what is amplification. It's amplification with regard to the train that doesn't cause an earthquake inside of the train station. Even as you look at that train and you're looking at it in motion, you're looking at what is demonic activity while I am describing the environment, which is coexisting with light activity, presence in the path, which is criminal, pursuant to monitoring, and you're stalking while you're monitoring, and this is occurring in the city of Pomona, also relevant because the entity is keeping this circumstance around me in an entirely different city, and doing so while the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct together. I'm being targeted by the government, which is engaging in that pattern of conduct from city to city, state to state, okay? But nonetheless, that's the video that you're listening to, and that's captured at 8:46 a.m. The entity is monitoring because the video cuts off, and that is the entity that is monitoring on my device. Okay, just want to also point that out as well. It is currently 8:54 a.m. This is P.O.C. at the Pomona Regional Transit Center under the fake sun. I'll go ahead and make a purchase. All right, you didn't notice that I was in here before or something, or what? You didn't notice that I was in here before? Now that you're stating that I can't be in here, they're monitoring. No? Oh, okay, I was just curious because I was asking you questions and you didn't say anything about that. A lot of policies that are created in real time, that's all, that's why I ask about that. It is, do you know what time it is? Because this is a Wi-Fi phone. You know what time it is? Okay, and I'm not allowed to wait in here for the train? Yeah, I'm not allowed to wait in here for the train? I'm not allowed to wait in here for the train? You said LA, is that what you said? Yes. LA, that runs to LA, correct? Okay.
How are you going to go and you're sitting here?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. You're stating the rule is that I can't sit in here and wait for the train. That's correct? Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Alrighty, 9 o'clock, 9:02, there we go. Foothill Transit. He's monitoring. Okay, and he's monitoring with Foothill Transit as well. I'm going to go ahead and make a purchase, thank you. He's monitoring with Foothill Transit, and they're all monitoring outside while the entity aims the fake sun in alignment to me. Don't forget what's happening at 8:38 a.m. at the square with the same agency that was stalking at the Starbucks yesterday at 111 North Vineyard. The entity was engaged in criminal summoning at the OVITT Family Community Library at 8:38 a.m. and on video, I captured that fake sun at 224 North Euclid Avenue, and then I walked to 215 East C Street. That's the same property. The entity has the fake sun while they're engaged in criminal summoning. All three of those feces eaters were wearing police uniforms, gang stalking with the people of the state, the light slingers themselves that eat their own feces. They're gang stalking at that venue. At 8:45 a.m. today, I'm still at that location. The entity's still gang stalking. I didn't go anywhere. 215 East C Street. Neither did the fake sun. That's why I captured it at 3:18 p.m. yesterday. Excuse me, well, 3:18 p.m. yesterday was showing how it was the fake sun at the OVITT. The day before is when. Do you know if these machines take ATM? Do you know? Do you know if these machines take card, like a debit card? Mm-hmm. They do? Oh, yeah, you're right. Okay. So while I'm at the OVITT Family Community Library, the entity is maintaining the fake sun over that venue. At 8:38 a.m., I'm capturing that video is concluded where Mickey's crossing paths with Ontario Police. The fake sun's there at 8:38 a.m. The entity's keeping that fake sun after 3:18 p.m. on video at that same library. Yesterday, I go to Starbucks and the fake sun is over me at 3:18 p.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun 48 hours ago over the OVITT Family Community Library and the Ontario Town Square, where that agency is stalking by commercial planes, which is confirmed yesterday when I go to Starbucks at 111 North Vineyard, and the entity is keeping the fake sun at that intersection and stalking by the airport. Oh, I have the wrong card. The entity's maintaining this fake sun this morning where you're seeing it while I'm at the Pomona Regional Transit Center at 8:45 a.m. This is at or around the same time the entity's maintaining the fake sun over the town square, over the OVITT Family Community Library, where the demon, including the one gang stalking with Corey Halton, at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, that's engaged in a pattern of targeting like they did yesterday, and they're going to prison for threatening to kidnap me. While you're engaged in surveillance with the state conspiring murder, you're absurdly psychotic. You're going to prison. The entity's engaged in that pattern of conduct while the fake sun's over me. The entity's targeting with Union Pacific. The entity's targeting inside of this train station where he's abruptly telling me, since I've been waiting in here, now I can't wait in here because I stated that I'm going to stay in here and document, and I didn't state that out loud. These are demons that are monitoring. So Satan responds with the pettiness while they're going to prison and I'm going to prosecute. They engage in that pettiness. Oh, you can't wait in here anymore, which is also audible activity. All right, that's where we're at, though. That fakes in the video you just listened to is evidence of the Ontario police who are going to prison. And Jay Chu and, what is this, F4? Jay Chu and Rodriguez are gang stalking at Starbucks yesterday under the fake sun that's present at 1 in the afternoon, when the entity's keeping that fake sun at 1 in the afternoon over the OVITT Family Community Library, which is the purpose of that documentation. 48 hours later, the fake sun's over me in Pomona through a window where engineer lights all over the floor, but it's over the entrance of that OVITT Family Community Library at the same time, not in the natural environment though. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct regarding recognizing surveillance, and the city of Pomona is engaging in surveillance, doing so on this side of this train station where they want to exclude me while they're monitoring me. Okay, that's the same spirit that is using people that are demon possessed who are engaged in criminal activity. They eat their feces, right, while they're stalking with light, and they drive foothill transit buses. Okay, they also drive Omnitrans buses. They're pacing in and out of this train station, gang stalking with the people of the state. Pomona Regional Transit Center is a function of the city of Pomona, and I've already documented the city of Pomona, and they are gang stalking today. So that's relevant to the video documentation that I just captured. Thank you for your help. Are you replacing the other person? What happened? Oh, okay. I have a question. I'm not really sure. Okay, this is P.O.C. East HOLT. This is the intersection of Renner Center. This is the fake sun that's right here over. And as you can see, HOLT Boulevard. And this is Ramona. And the entity is moving the fake sun as I move, covering it up, while this is an entity that's engaged in surveillance, that's engaged in real-time surveillance while it is being simultaneously exposed. This is why you have a fake sun that is exposed and the entity is covering it up, and that's relevant regarding the video where you can clearly see that fake sun over me while I'm inside of the train station.
in the city of Pomona, going from city to city, from Pomona back into Montclair. At 4490 Holt, not even the covered up fake sun is deviating from the same exact pattern of conduct. Not only is this not remaining in Ontario like I did yesterday, where the entity is keeping the fake sun over me, doing so while I'm on Euclid Avenue. The entity is maintaining the fake sun while I'm on the bus in real-time movement, and the entity has a fake sun over me at that Pomona, at the Pomona Transit Center before I'm in the city of Montclair. And in the city of Montclair, I place myself at the 4490 Holt Boulevard Starbucks at 5 in the evening. The fake sun is over me while you're looking at it on that side of the street, and you're looking at it in the morning while it's 9:32 a.m. It's engaged in what is covering up a fake sun, while they're engaged in what is still gang stalking me while they're covering it up. And this is very demonic. While I turn my back, for example, I turn my camera off while the entities trying to sneak in an iteration, an act of violence such as Union Pacific and the fake sun that begins immediately shining. It's the P.O.C. And the entities, this is also asinine entity as you're looking at it. The entity is engaged in what is stalking under a fake sun that remains over to the exclusion of every other place. That's how asinine it is what the entity, what the demons are doing when they're engaging in obvious surveillance. And the suggestion is that everywhere else is going to be cloudy. No one else is going to see a sun while it's over me in Ontario, while it's over the OVITT Family Community Library, the Ontario Town Square, which you also know is not the case because that's why it's over me at the Starbucks at 111 North Vineyard Avenue. The city of Ontario, the intersection of Holt and Vineyard and Euclid and Holt and F Street and Euclid Avenue are not the sole location where the sun is rising and setting. Okay, the entities engaged in what is asinine, even as you witness that. This is the suggestion, and it's not persuasive because you can see the fake sun is right here. What is stalking? They're monitoring, and the entities also engaging in this chicanery in the sky space. But the suggestion is that the fake sun is remaining only over where you're seeing it in my documentation in Ontario, and everywhere else is going to be cloudy like this. This is what everybody else is experiencing. You know that that's not true because it's sunny every day in the state of Texas and the state of Florida. It's asinine. This is the entity that's engaged in surveillance. This is P.O.C. And that's Pomona to Montclair pattern of conduct where the entity has the fake sun at that Montclair Starbucks in the afternoon. All right, that's the P.O.C. 9 Barry Paul Thomas 500. Gang stalking at Mountain Avenue and Holt Boulevard. The entity engaged in what is light activity at Mountain and Holt. That's the entity that's using what is the light activity on the vehicle. The white pickup truck. Ontario police do drive gang stalk in white pickup trucks. I've documented that at the OVITT Family Community Library, for example. They're engaging in the pattern of conduct of light activity at the intersection where the fake sun is outside of the same window while I'm on the fence. You're looking at the exact opposite conduct when I am remaining, for example, at the bus stop. Trans is driving by me, and that fake sun does not drive away with that bus. And the two are not happening at the same time. And actually, neither are happening in the natural environment. It's not the sun that's remaining stationary over me, and it's not the sun, the natural environment while I'm on Omnitrans, including while the demon-possessed are gang stalking under what is a subdued fake sun, based on knowledge that I have surrounded them with evidence proving conclusively that a whole government body and a population are both demons and engaging in what is state surveillance and targeting me within that surveillance system, which is unlawful, and it's also inhumane. And that which is inhumane by the government is also unlawful. It's 9:41 a.m. The entity's keeping the fake sun over while I'm on Route 61. So I'm going past venues where the entity had the fake sun over me at 7:45 in the morning at the Stater Brothers, which I was reminding you about, 7:45 in the morning on Holt Boulevard, where Jay Chu and Rodriguez and Starbucks are gang stalking under the 1:18 p.m. fake sun. Which they're not thinking about when they're gang stalking somebody that's got you already surrounded with evidence. But you're going to prison for that because the entity is engaging in what is criminal conduct, and their corrupt conduct is followed by bearing guns and weapons and using helicopters and the authority that they abuse in order to violate the rights of someone that doesn't have any system whereby they can enforce the rights against a corrupt government system. Okay, so that's what they do. You just pull out your guns and your badges and you push people around and you kidnap them. You're going to prison for that. That's exactly why you are going to federal prison. But this is what the entity is doing while I'm on the bus. You're mindful of what's already on the record. If that was the sun at Stater Brothers at 7:45 a.m., because that's what's clearly on the record,
while I'm in Pomona, and I'm showing you that fake sun that you can see shining clearly, and that's supposedly sunlight based on these demons' illusions. That's the two are not, it's mutually exclusive. In addition, it's impossible for either to be the sun. There's an ongoing maintenance of evidence over the term of years where this entity is maintaining a light source in absolutely impossible manners, including in Los Angeles County, at Alvarado Gardens, in San Diego, and my hotel rooms that I maintain throughout Southern California, including in my vehicle when I'm sleeping in my car, and the entity is rising the fake sun outside of the window of my car in West Covina on Amar. This is in that same street, the entity keeps the fake sun, where I'm documenting the mayor in that city, I'm documenting that population, and it's the demon possessed that are gang stalking. And covering up the fake sun is the evidence of malice. It's the evidence of the entity that is mentally ill and very extremely corrupt. And this is desperation, and it's also delusion. It's psychopathic, antisocial, and it's also demented, deranged, all right? Not distinct from, but likened to eating one's own feces, okay? And that's what the demon possessed are doing while they're stalking under a fake sun. And covering it up is the evidence of what is still a fake sun. You can see that object. And the asinity, like I described in the video that you just listened to, the asinity behind that system is that you're engaging and you are stuck to in court the false and unintelligent illusion that even science itself is going to embarrass you with regard to proving everybody else is not experiencing clouds covered in the sky, because the opposite of the sun not shining over you does not equal clouds in the sky, a gloomy day. Number one. Number two, the sun is not shining directly over your head necessarily for it to be daytime. The sun is in constant movement, and daytime is what we all recognize during the daytime hours, and the sun doesn't have to be over the top of your head for that to be the case. This is what the entity is doing, and while they're documented, tailored to that evidence of surveillance by demons in that demonic environment, they engage in what is not the opposite, clouds covering up the sky, making it a cloudy, gloomy day. That's the entity that's engaging in what is covering up, first of all, the evidence of what is a fake sun, because the sun, during the day, the daytime is not defined by the sun being over the top of your head, which is what you're recognizing in that specific environment. That's false logic. It's ignorant. It's asinine. And that asinity is putting J. Chu and Rodriguez and the terrorist at Starbucks in prison. That ignorance is also the prosecution of the city of Pomona. That's malice, and that malice is relevant to surrounding American citizens with a bunch of terrorists that are targeting them. And as I am documenting and proving, I've already proven it, you're looking at the ways in which they are failing, okay, because you're going to analyze that false logic, and you're getting to the inevitable conclusion is malice under all circumstances. Malice upon what is very highly unintelligent and asinine conduct that was documented in order to prosecute in a court of law. Okay, where surveillance amongst corrupt actors is not going to prevail. It's not. In fact, in the ways in which you've used and engaged in corrupt acts against me while I'm exposing this, while you're conspiring my murder, that's the equation for inevitable prison. You're going to prison. You're engaging in the ability to assure that that target individual ends up dead by engaging in the surveillance system and in your position as a judge, as a police officer, as a sheriff's deputy, and doing so as any sort of medical professional. That's totally irrelevant, but you're injecting yourself with regard to criminal defamation. The entity is doing so with the intent to obstruct justice, and you're going to prison. Alright, that's the long and short of it. P.O.C.
Connecting to Lot 61 and 83.
And this is the entity that maintains the fake sun. Upon arriving to the B&G Plaza, it's shining more brightly. And this was the case the entire time in Pomona, California. That's malice. Alright, this is P.O.C. Thank you. Everybody on the bus is in engineer light. They're all monitoring. And the fake sun is over the B&G Plaza. And the angle of that engineer light is speaking to what is the presence of the fake sun, but it's not the sun and it's not sunlight. Also, the entity has this light source over this B&G Plaza as a matter of history. Sunset, Andy's Burgers, Shiro's Liquor, and destroying it. Paul Leon's active. They're still going to be prosecuted. 1302445 bus 1333, and the fake sun remains here, even though it travels with me to Pomona. Okay, that's why it was over me in this manner through the window of the Pomona Regional Transit Center, which is never going to be, and this is not, over or adjacent to or anywhere near the Ontario Town Square or the airport by definition. by the support of science is not in this direction. The sun is not ubiquitous, in other words. You see it in this direction. It is not behind me, in other words. It's not simultaneously at the Ontario Town Square. It's also not simultaneously remaining at the ARCO, all those venues that are on this side, on the opposite side of the Metro 102 apartments. That's what this is. On the opposite side is the Ontario Town Square, where the entity is hovering over the 280 North Limit apartments over there, flying diagonally northwest over the Ontario Town Square, while the entities kept keeping the fake sun. You're looking at what was documented, where the entity engaged in criminal summoning at the OVITT Family Community Library at 8:38 a.m. I walked back to the Ontario Town Square. This is where the entity is maintaining plane activity. The history shows they're hovering over this parking lot under a fake sun, which is documented at B&G Plaza until sunset. Okay, Alex Escobar's gang stalking, engaging in criminal summoning in 2022, right here on this sidewalk under the fake sun. During the 8 a.m. hour, Alex Escobar is engaged in kidnapping under the fake sun at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue in 2025 during daylight savings time at 7:15 a.m. Alex Escobar is gang stalking at 333 North Euclid Avenue at what is D Street in Euclid at 12:51 in the afternoon. Where big picture is, the airport's not perpetually taking off here, hovering, flying northwest from the airport, the same airport, hovering over the Ontario Town Square. The sun is not simultaneously over those venues, and the sun would not be in the same city for Alex Escobar to be gang stalking me under. That's the only reason why. But in the natural environment, Alex Escobar could not possibly be in my presence under the natural environment, bearing the sun over my head at 8 in the morning, 12:51 in the morning, 7:15 in the morning, where the entity's keeping a fake sun over me off of Holt Boulevard and off of Euclid Avenue. Alex Escobar is going to prison, and so are his buddies, Jay Chu and Rodriguez, who engaged in gang stalking. The sun is on Holt Boulevard. Jay Chu and Rodriguez are gang stalking at Starbucks, which is on Holt and Vineyard Avenue at 111 North Euclid Avenue. This is not the sun. It's also not over the Ontario Town Square. This follows from Pomona. That's why it's outside of the window. And what the analysis is that the entity's engaged in at 8:38 a.m. where the fake sun's remaining at Ontario Town Square 48 hours ago. What are they doing? They're all stalking. They're all vagina monitoring, light slinging, feces eating demons. They're gargoyles. They're gang stalkers. They're co-conspirators of murder. And they're all under the direct evidence. And covering up a fake sun, making it cloudy when I go to the neighboring cities in Montclair and Pomona. And then for it to shine brightly where Union Pacific Railroad is the means of sensational and audible activity, is the pattern of conduct. And it is false logic, it is asininity, it is ignorance. By those, understandably, foreseeably, by those that eat their own feces. Engaging in what is covering up the fake sun and making it cloudy everywhere, and only throughout the whole United States, which you all know is not true, the sun is remaining over me at OVITT Family Community Library for the duration of the day. And everywhere else, the opposite of that is a cloudy day, and no, it is not. The sun is not over your head to prove that it's daytime. The sun is not remaining over your head for the duration of the day. And the opposite of the sun being over you where you would see it, which is at a central point during the day in its zenith, where it would be over the top of your head, that's not everybody's experience, and that's not all day. The sun is the one that's constantly moving. So it should not be over one address in the morning and still at that address 6 hours later. That's the identification of the pattern of conduct where the demons that eat their own feces are slinging light and stalking you. And those demons that are monitoring from city to city, engaging in the asininity of maintaining a cloudy sky space, which is false logic by the feces-eating gargoyles. They're ignorant and they're corrupt. This is the pattern of conduct. This is prosecution for ignorance. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:50 a.m. where this is not over and anywhere near or in the direction of the OVITT Family Community Library, where that fake sun remained over me, and the entity was gang stalking with a whole bunch of little children. Don't forget, because these demons that are eating their own feces, they forget. They forget. But it's not going to be forgotten in court. You're playing a game and you already lost. This is going in a courtroom, Satan. This is P.O.C. Alrighty, you're listening to me capture video, and the entity is maintaining that specific environment, and the fake sun starts shining brighter as I arrive back in the city of Ontario. And the proof is that the entity is engaged in what is false logic. Like I stated, the entity that's covering up a fake sun is engaging in what is the false logic, the inherent flaw in their syllogism. And they don't have any syllogism. They're demons and they're ignorant. They engage in murder, they engage in rape, they engage in harassment and terrorism and bullying. They don't exercise any intellectual thought, any intellectual processes. They don't engage in any individual thought either. They engage in groupthink, and all the demons, all the cockroaches jump on the same object at the same time with regard to overwhelming by numbers. That's what they do. That doesn't work when you're going to be subject to what is the the cure for the infestation of roaches, it's a raid. That's what it is. It's a raid. Raids all over the place. That's what it is. All right? The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and they're doing so while they're covering up the fake sun in Pomona, but you saw it outside of the windows of the Pomona Regional Transit Center. While those demons engage in criminal summoning, guess what? They're going to prison, just like I said. They're going to federal prison. Those demons that are stalking while they're maintaining that pattern of conduct, gang stalking with the airport. Let me read you this demon's license plate. Surveillance. While demons that eat their own feces engage in more stalking conduct, this demon's license plate, African American, IYT T28 Florida plate. African American engaging in surveillance at the Metro 102. While you can hear the demons admitting that they're stalking and admitting that they indeed are mentally ill, they are indeed engaged in conduct analogous to eating their own feces. They are indeed unstable, stalking in commercial airline planes, murdering people like U.S.C. committed in Kentucky. They are indeed corrupt. They are indeed psychopathic, murdering people like Los Angeles Police Department did, running over that young man in the middle of the street, knowing exactly where he was at, knowing his patterns, knowing literally what he's doing with his physical body, while they are demons engaging in surveillance, monitoring, and engaging in what is homicide, premeditated murder, running them over at an accelerated speed with their lights and sirens on, with the intent to avoid liability through that iteration of the pattern of conduct of gang stalking, targeting, surveillance. And that's relevant to the entity sounding plane activity right now, where you're not taking off. You're not taking off perpetually throughout the entire city of Ontario. You are stalking. And you're stalking with regard to the addition of science, where I'm even going to another city and I'm showing the fake sun is over me, while you're engaged in what is a means of stalking me at the Ontario Town Square, wearing those police uniforms that I'm going to strip you of. I'm going to strip you of those uniforms. And you're never going into what is law enforcement. You're going to prison anyway, so you're done with law enforcement. But I mean, even if there's one demon of the Ontario Police, for example, Anne, who is subject to federal prison still, but she's not on. Actually, that demon went out of her way crossing path. Yes, she did at the Ontario Police Department in the parking lot before. But somebody that's a part of the Ontario Police Department, say they work in the office, and I've never documented them personally under the fake sun gang stalking me, which I don't have to. I documented the whole agency, the fake sons over that police department. But they're engaged in what is monitoring as an agency. It's not individualized. I don't have to encounter you in order to prosecute you. You're gang stalking me. I don't have to know who you are in Riverside, California, and your apartment address while you're keeping me under surveillance. It's already known that you're engaged in surveillance. The entity has a fake son over me in the city that you reside in. And the same ongoing hallmarks where you employ the supernatural. Everybody, not just me, everybody knows that you're gang stalking me, okay? But nonetheless, the entity is engaging in what is that pattern of conduct, and they do so while monitoring. And for example, someone that works for the Ontario Police, and for example, let's say T. Cho has a mistress, and his gay lover works as a janitor at the Ontario Police Department at night. And I've never encountered that third party, and so I haven't documented them. That doesn't mean that they're not subject to a prosecution for the same pattern of conduct in the same specific environment. The entity is seeking to individualize. Well, you have to encounter everyone. No, you do not. The entity is engaging in bullying. The government is acting through every single person, and they exploit the Constitution because they are seeking to appear on the surface as individuals. I have a right. This is my private property. Oh, you do not have a right to engage in surveillance and furtherance of murder with the government where you live and where you work. And that is literally not the definition of private property or a private property owner. That's exploitation of the Constitution that you can't even spell. Hence your ignorance. I just want to be clear. The entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct in all the ways in which corruption is capitalized upon based upon the identity of the actor and the identity of the actor that is acting through a population that is morally bankrupt and corrupt as well. This is because they are demon possessed. These are demons. They don't have a moral compass. They only want to present as normal, healthy, law-abiding people, and they're actually not. And I hate to break your heart. This is not cynicism. This is not pessimism. All right. This is not just negative thinking. This is not bitterness. This is the reality. When you're looking at that fake sun, it's not over the OVITT Family Community Library. What were they doing with all of those little kids while I'm standing there at the C Street turn circle? It's about 9:45, 9:50 a.m. What were they doing? That was a whole crime scene. 48 hours ago, not yesterday, but the day before yesterday. What were they doing? And what were they intentionally doing under that fake sun? What were they intentionally and knowingly and maliciously doing, including for you to see it with children? What were they doing? That's what you need to understand. Okay? I'll let you answer those questions yourself. Because the entity commits the crime in real time while it's being exposed, and they're going, because they're stalking, they're the criminal, they're the ones that are always scrambling on the run, following me around, stalking while I'm documenting and prosecuting and publishing it. I'm the one that's showing you long-term progress, the ongoing aggregate, the inevitable conclusions regarding what they are doing and how they do it, and what you need to learn about this. Okay? Not only is Christ coming back, but there are going to be many that are going to be deceived. The illusion of the specific environment that presents, the illusion of the natural environment through the specific environment that I've shown you, is your proof. Satan is present, Satan is real, and he is going to try to deceive many people, even into thinking that he is Christ, that he is the Lord God that you need to submit to, that you need to serve, that you need to listen to. He's going to deceive many, and unfortunately, people are going to fall for it. This is scripture. They're going to fall for it. Those that are actually paying attention, and I just want to be clear, this is already predestined. So those that are going to walk into darkness, those that are not going to fall for the lies of the devil, those that know the truth and know Christ and know what his word said and find safety in that obedience, because that's the only place where it's at. Because this surely isn't in some practitioner's spell work and some binding work and some sort of cloaking where you're going to burn in hell, okay? You're going to burn in hell. There is no spell work out of what Christ Jesus. You're playing all these games and playing in all these little spiritual realms and all these little quantum galaxies and playing all the. Listen, Christ Jesus is coming back. And this prosecution, which is revealing the demonic, okay, and only Christ Jesus is the one that's revealing Satan's secrets like this at this level. Christ Jesus and nobody else. Nobody else. He is the Holy Spirit, and he's the one that has all authority to reveal the truth. He's the one that created everything. All spirits belong to him, and they all bow to him. They bow before him. Every demon, okay? Now, I want to be clear. They don't have any secrets before him. They don't have anything. They can't hide anything before him. And nobody that is engaging in any type of this system of demon possession, which is criminal conduct, which is exposing, unfortunately. And you shouldn't have your faith in man anyway. And I'm not saying that you need to walk around bitter, but I'm saying that you need to be aware that Satan is engaging in what is chicanery right in your face, okay? An illusion right in your face, an illusion regarding who your family is, an illusion regarding who your friends are, an illusion regarding what is the character of those that you spend your time with, that you've invested your time, emotions, your professional relationship, etc. You've invested in all these things. It's time to take inventory of that, because Christ Jesus is coming back, and it speaks a lot about where you are as a person. And so I found myself surrounded by the Nephilim. I'm related to them. This is many of the ways in which you're understanding what is actually family. We're trying to think things like, oh, blood is thicker than water, and no, that's not the truth at all. And I'm stating that, yes, Christ Jesus is love as well, and I'm called to forgive. I don't hold any bitterness toward these demons at all. I'm forgiven. I have all of my mind, and I praise God for it. I'm not sitting up stalking somebody and listening to them and monitoring them and stalking them and spending all my money doing it and obsessing over things that aren't even going to work out in my favor. That's them. That's them. Coming from a place of defeat, okay? But the entity is engaging in what is conduct with regard to what are inevitable consequences, reaping what you sow. Okay, those that are non-believers refer to that as karma, but those are not godly terms. It's not a godly context whatsoever. Christ-centered, scriptural, in other words. Okay, but this is speaking to what God has said. God will not be mocked. Okay, and whatsoever a man sows, that he shall also reap, and that is inevitable. The entity is relying on spell work and relying on, gang violence, and relying on all sorts of acts of corruption. We're just going to bully our way out of. No, you're not. No, you are not. You are actually not going to do that at all, Satan. You're going to sit down. You're going to take this judgment, and this is the entity that's engaging in that. These are demons, and on top of that, it's criminal activity, and it's speaking to what are the illusions and the acts that people and what is actually a society is living on, existing amongst. And it's relevant to the enemy, your enemy, who is a spirit, all right? And that's all going to what is a whole fake sun. That's getting to a whole fake existence, a whole fake way of appearing in life. All right, and that's what the state of California is engaging in. There's a bigger picture, and there is no amount of time when you're covering up the fake sun as though there's some restart. That's what they're always doing, and there is no restart. All of it from the beginning to end is going to be relevant and in the front of everyone, including a federal judge, panel, a justice system that's going to see with clarity, perfect clarity, everything that is going on and everything that went on with regard to trying to avoid it. And you're even going to be prosecuted for that. Okay, it is currently 10:02 a.m. and I am inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. The entity is covering up that fake sun, and no one is forgetting. That's why I'm reminding it, because it's going to be the same thing in court. While they're playing games every minute, playing all these stupid games, nobody forgot about what happened 48 hours ago. And the demons that are stalking, bearing guns, wearing those uniforms, having a field day, just stalking on video camera, driving those vehicles, stalking in those helicopters, are going to prison. And that's the bottom line. They are going to federal prison. Okay, the entities engage in criminal conduct, and American citizens die every day because of this very system that I'm exposing. And it's not a game, and you're not going to engage in it and just get away with it. And that was funny. Did you see? I drove anyway. I drove right by. I flew right over her head while she was documenting, saying that we're going to prison. I flew. You're going to prison, and you're not gonna. You can sit in your cell and laugh about it while you're snacking on your feces, because there's nothing funny about. And there's also nothing funny about mental illness, because that's what's wrong with them. That's what's wrong with them. All right, it is currently 10:03 a.m. at 215 EC Street, the OVITT Family Community Library. This is P.O.C.